My wife of 10 years left me after I discovered I had a son from a previous relationship. Now, I'm raising him alone, while my other children are half a country away. I am sorry for any mistakes. I have been unable to sleep and really struggling. I feel emotionally drained. My wife Amy, 35F, left me, 36M, after I was contacted by an ex and discovered I had a son. I tried to post his age, but my post gets removed, so I just want to clear up that he was born 3 years before I married my wife and there was absolutely no overlap or cheating in my wife and I's relationship. This happened a month ago and I requested a paternity test. Amy didn't say much while we waited for results but agreed that if I was the father I needed to be in my son's life in every way possible. 2 weeks ago the results came back that I am the father and immediately Amy said she wanted a divorce and began packing her and our children's belongings. I was confused and asked her why, but she just cried and said she loved me. Amy and I have been married for 10 years. Our marriage has been pretty damn close to perfect. No serious arguments, same goals, we've traveled the world together, we have a beautiful home, rewarding careers, and fantastic children together. I am so heartbroken that she's thrown everything away. I feel like my life has been destroyed. I have no clue what to do. I have begged and pleaded for therapy and my wife refuses. She has started the divorce process. The next issue is custody of our children in terms of divorce. All 4 of our children are young, not even in school yet. She says if I agree to give her primary custody she will let me have the house and will not want child support, and will give me all of our savings so I can raise my son as his mother is struggling. She also agreed to pay for some home help for me. I am disabled and need help occasionally during flare-ups, which she usually provides. I told her I could afford it on my own, but she insists as she says she wants to help out since she won't be there. She will move across the country with our children but said she will bring them for at least 2 weeks every 2 months so I can have a relationship with them and will pay for me to fly out to see them whenever I want. I don't know what to do. I have no family to discuss this with because 2 of mine and Amy's children are adopted. And my parents and extended family think my biological son is more important than them, which is obviously untrue. It makes me feel horrible, but I don't even know my son. It feels like I'm losing everything for a person I don't know. And I know he's a child and I shouldn't feel that way. But all I ever wanted was my wife and kids. And while I will love my son and take care of him, I don't feel like he is my kid yet just because I haven't really had time to get to know him. A month ago I wouldn't have recognized him if I saw him on the street. I feel so much guilt for feeling this way. Amy and I both are fairly well off, but she is more so than me. She offered to hire me a lawyer of my choosing if I don't agree with her terms. I told her again I could afford it, but she says she just wants to make sure I get a fair deal. But I just can't. I don't want to divorce or lose my children. I love my wife and children more than anything. I just don't understand her motives or why she is doing this. It feels like I have to pick my son or my wife and our shared kids. I keep trying to make sense of it in my mind. She will not tell me any reason for wanting to get divorced. She is even being incredibly nice to my son. His birthday had recently passed and she got him a new game system. They haven't met, she said say it was from myself and his siblings. She even told me what her nephew, same age as my son, is into so that I can get things my son might like. I don't even know what advice I'm looking for. It feels like my life has been completely ruined. I'm in therapy but it doesn't seem to help. A month ago my wife and I were planning on trying for another baby and picking our next vacation spot, and now I'm going to be divorced. How do I move on? How do I not unfairly resent my son when I know it's not his fault? I keep hoping there's a way to convince her to stay. But I don't even know what the problem really is. I'm hoping someone else has been through learning they have a child after 10 plus years and know where to start or what I can do to either move on or convince my wife that this doesn't have to happen. Any advice at all is appreciated though. OOP on a comment to clarify a few things. I have not asked my wife to be a caregiver to me. I rarely have flare-ups bad enough that I need a caregiver maybe once a month, on a bad year, to a few times a year, and my wife was insistent our entire relationship on caring for me because she wanted to when I did need help. If she was burnt out of stressed, there was always an option to hire help. She was the one who did not want home help. We divided our workload equally in our household and had a nanny that assisted us with much of the housework as well as regular cleaners, etc. As far as finances, while she earns more money than I do, we are both quite well off. We both work around the same amount of hours and contribute equally to household bills. I believe if my wife was unhappy, she would have said something. We have never had any issues in our relationship, and any problems that arose she would communicate to me and we would work together to solve. We always did check-ins in our relationship to make sure we were on the same page and could communicate in a healthy way. The more I hear stories for commenters, the more I believe she just did not want to be a step-parent. Second, while I have no way of proving that my wife was not cheating, I do not believe she was. We regularly used each other's phones, spent a majority of our time together, and she has never given me a reason to be suspicious. Another thing mentioned is that she is jealous because she is infertile. This is not the case. We were actually getting prepared to have another biological baby of our own before this happened. My wife has no plans to move immediately. Once we found out paternity and she said she wanted a divorce, she wanted to be closer to her family. They are located across the country. I do not believe there is another man or anything else, as her family would not approve of dating or remarriage since they are quite religious. From my understanding, she has no solid plans as of yet because she wants to make sure we have a custody agreement we are both happy with and we both believe is fair. I am in contact with a lawyer now. I told my wife I did not find what she wanted to be fair in terms of custody, and we are now trying to figure out how we could have court-mandated 50-50 long distance with her paying the travel fees and associated costs. I know I have been downvoted many times for believing my wife, and no doubt I probably am an idiot, and have received many messages calling her names and saying what a bad person she is. I know I sound ridiculous, but I still feel the urge to defend her. I do not feel like she is trying to steal my children or punish me. She has never been that kind of person. She is the kind of person who keeps packages of supplies in her car for homeless people she sees. The type of person who spends her free time trapping feral cats to get them neutered and seen by a vet. She is the one who gives a large sum of her salary to charity and spends hours every week volunteering. She is the type of person who made sure the children we fostered saw their biological family more than state-mandated supervised visits, and used her own time and resources to make it happen. She is genuinely the best mother I know. She has went out of her way to explain to our children that while we may not live together anymore, I may have a new member in my family, that I will always be involved in their life and love them very much. And while it is hard for me to understand why she made this choice, it is also hard for me to believe she has become a person of malice. Many of your comments have said to ask for a trial separation and ask for court-mandated therapy. I have mentioned those things and she is still refusing. I plan on asking my lawyer about it and hoping we can move forward, if nothing else, as healthy co-parents. It is incredibly heartbreaking to see all of the comments saying that they would leave if they were in her position as well. Although I can understand your point of view, it is incredibly hard to live through it. I love my wife and children more than anything, and it is soul-wrenching to lose them to something that is also a surprise for me. I appreciate all of your advice and will keep you updated as best as I can, although I do not expect to be able to update for some time, as I do not expect this divorce to be finalized for some time. Thank you all so much for sharing your experiences with me, listening to me vent, and giving advice. Update: it has been over a year since my original post. Since then my life has completely changed. Some days it is very hard, but all things considered I am doing well. The biggest change is that my wife and I divorced. She moved with our shared children to the opposite coast to be near her family. We had an easy split, as we both agreed it was best for our family. I am very thankful for that, however it is difficult not to see all of my kids. The first month was the hardest, especially as we did not want to divorce and we had a hard time not treating each other like spouses, which delayed us healing. My son is doing much better now that it's just the two of us. After our divorce, my son opened up about her in therapy. I now understand much more about his behavior. He is much happier now as an only child as well. He is really thriving with my attention. He is still struggling with his mental health, but his care team sees progress, as do I. My other kids have seemingly forgotten my existence, which hurts, but is also better than them being sad about the situation. I constantly try and call them, but at their age I get about 5 words in before they lose interest. My ex-wife and in-laws try and get them to stay on the phone and talk to me, but there is only so much connection you can have over the phone with kids their age. They seem happy, which is all I can ask for. I am at peace knowing that both my son and my younger kids have someone that loves them in their lives. I miss my family, but I feel I made the right choice for them and my son. After our divorce, I asked my ex-wife to lay it on the line why did she want to leave before even meeting my son. She had written me pretty consistent letters from the day we found out, until the day we divorced. She gave them to me once our divorce was finished. I read over them several times. She gave several reasons for wanting to split. She felt she had chosen me to have a family with, and I had already had a family. If she had wanted strangers in her life, she would have married a man with kids the first time. She specifically chose someone without kids, and felt she made a mistake, as now other people would have some control over our lives and a stranger would be in our home. She loved our life, marriage, and knew it was all about to change because of my past decisions. She also said she knew that kids coming out of situation like his were likely to have trauma. She underlined many times that while I was a good person, she knew I'd throw our family under the bus to make up for something I had no control over. I wrote to her to tell her she was right and that I was sorry things turned out how they did. Overall, I am happy. I don't regret my decisions. My son is thriving with me, and my other kids have a great mother and maternal family. I hope my son continues to improve, and I selfishly hope that as time passes and he gets older and more stable, I will be able to reconnect with my wife and be involved with my other kids. I appreciate everyone who reached out with advice.